Is anyone feeling a little stressed? Something in your life you're worrying about? Or can we at least think of a time when we've worried about something or been stressed about something? I think it's safe to say we've all been there at some point. Tonight, we're going to talk about that exact thing, about worrying, stressing out, and what the Bible has to say about it. So, what are some things that we stress about, that we worry about in life?
Grades.
Grades?
Not knowing. Just not like something not knowing.
Jobs?
Money.
Money?
You know, Caleb, I'm one of the few on campus that we're seeing a lot of students just kind of come in and out of our offices a lot. They're just, it's seniors. It's almost panicking because 4 years are gone, graduation is a couple of weeks away. What now?
The unknown.
So, yeah, I see it a lot.
Found a top 10 list. I don't know how credible it is because there's thousands of top 10 lists all over the internet.
Wikipedia.
But this is one top 10 list of things that people stress about. Number 1 is job, their job. Number 2, money. Number 3, your health. Number 4, your relationships. Number 5, poor nutrition. Number 6, media overload. And number 7, sleep deprivation. It's kind of funny how many of those are results of stress as well. Which we'll talk a little bit about that in a little while. But I found that interesting that we're stressing over the result of stress. It's kind of a never-ending circle. So we're going to see what Jesus had to say about worrying and stress. Because what better source to go to than Jesus himself, right? We'll be in Matthew 6. And we'll read 25 through 34. We'll kind of break it up. And then at the end, I'll read it all as one. So there's 4 things that 4 reasons why we shouldn't worry that I kind of came up with through these 9 verses. And the first reason, any idea? I'll tell you. First reason is that worrying accomplishes absolutely nothing. Accomplishes nothing, and it disrupts our productivity. Make sense? All right, let's see what Scripture has to say about that. So we'll start Matthew 6, 25 and 26. Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothes? Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap, or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? Has worrying about something ever solved your problem? No. What about being concerned for something? About something?
What motivates you to act on it? Yeah. Isn't that just a feeling, just anxiety?
Do you guys think there's a difference between concern and worry? What's the difference?
Concern is like you care to get it done, worries like you just don't think it will. That just like scare you off.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. When we worry about something, it immobilizes us. It almost brings fear to us. I believe that like fear and worry are very close relationship, first cousins. So when we worry, we're immobilized in our fear. Let's go with grades, for example. or better yet, this 15-page paper. We're assigned this 15-page paper. We're worried like crazy, 15-page paper, how am I supposed to do this 15 pages? I've never written anything over 5 pages, how am I supposed to triple that? We're just focused on worrying about it that we don't even start it. Right? I don't think. Concern, on the other hand, if we're concerned about it, it'll motivate us, like I think, Anna said, it'll motivate us to start it early, so we don't stress out about it. It'll motivate us to get help with it, motivate us to get all the resources that we need ahead of time. You see the difference between worry and concern? Concern is good, because it motivates you, like you said. Worry, not so much, because it immobilizes us. It accomplishes absolutely nothing. How much time do you think we waste worrying?
A lot.
Brock?
I want to say a week or like we in 1 week probably. I don't know. I would say a week maybe.
What about years of your life?
Maybe 10 or more.
10?
10 to 12.
Oh, you worried a lot.
Have you met me?
That's
So we need to go back my past.
okay.
So you're saying like at the end of our life, if we added up all the time that we worried, how many
Yeah.
years would it be?
Yep.
I know myself, I have wasted a lot of time worrying, and it didn't get anything accomplished.
Accomplishes
Except
absolutely.
a headache and a stomach ache. Seriously.
Do you think
Because-
worrying about traffic could be one? Like sitting in traffic, we worry about are we going to make it to.
Well, yeah, if you're worrying about it, yeah.
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 So that's where I said the whole 10 years thing because a lot of.
Because you worry about traffic all the time.
I live in the
That's
city,
what's
so I
wrong with
live
being a
close to
city boy.
traffic.
You don't have traffic in the country.
It probably wouldn't surprise me if we don't spend close to 25% of our lives
Yeah.
worrying, a quarter.
A recent survey, you guys are a little high, revealed that we spend 6.5 years of our life.
I would never have bet that low.
Oh,
Average, that's
it.
average.
Average.
Well, 4 of that's college.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, 6.5 years we waste, essentially. Because we just discussed that we accomplish nothing when we're worrying. So we're spending 6.5 of those years on average accomplishing nothing. Stressing, worrying. Second reason. Anything else you guys want to talk about that before we move on? Kind of makes you think, right? Like, wow, I'm wasting a lot of my time. Which is funny because we spend time stressing about the lack of time that we have. Right? I'm not the only one that's like, oh no, I only have so many hours to do this. Where we waste 6.5 years doing that. So nothing else on that?
What was the question again?
Just anything you have concerning about it accomplishing nothing and being a waste of time.
The
Alright.
generation maybe one?
What?
Would you think between generations? I mean, I'm going a little more in depth, but I feel like. the more-
Which generation wastes the most time worrying or spends the most time worrying?
Yeah, I feel like our generation does because there's all the social networking and that sort of stuff, where my grandparents didn't have that.
Well, if you remember, media overload
Yeah,
was
Yeah.
number 9.
I'm not real sure that this generation worries less.
really.
Yeah, I feel like we worry more about things that are irrelevant.
Yeah.
That's a good point, yeah.
That like
Irrelevant.
creates stress that's
Exactly,
unnecessary.
it's unnecessary worry.
Right,
I'm with you.
right, that's what we do,
We create something out of nothing.
Basically.
seriously.
That's a very good point.
Well, so having said that, having said that, what advice could we give to incoming freshmen in fall as far as worry patterns? Because it's gonna be, it's a way to reach out to freshmen.
Really cannot procrastinate.
It's gonna go from
She
zero,
really cannot.
zero stress for the first 13 weeks up to 100% stress for the last 2.
I think as the older you get though, at least I know as being a student, the stress goes away. Not always, but I worried more when I was a freshman than I do now. I mean, when I graduate and be a senior, that's a different story, but I mean, the stress will still be there, just not as much as when you started 4 years ago.
What's the scripture about like the seasons? How like, you know, like stressful moments?
There's a time
Yeah,
for
it works
everything. Justin should be here, he knows that. Alright, so the second reason we shouldn't worry, Miss Denise kind of touched on this, it damages your health. You heard that?
Yeah.
We're going to read Matthew 6, pick up on verse 27. Can any one of you be worrying, I'm sorry, let me restart. Can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? Okay. A lot of us worry about adding more time, kind of what we just talked about. But it won't do that. There's a mental burden that we get from being worried. It's mental. But it leads to physical. If we let it brew for so long, and then the physical side effects come. Do you guys experience that? At some point you just get overly stressed and just break down and get sick or
For a mental
cry.
breakdown.
What, bro?
Is that like a mental breakdown?
Yeah, mental breakdown. I have some more statistics about the harmful health effects of stress. It's the basic cause of 60% of all human illness and disease.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. 3 out of 4 visits to the doctor are for stress-related ailments.
Yep.
Sound about
That's
right?
the honest truth, because I had that a couple weeks ago.
Stress increases the risk of heart disease by 40%, the risk of a heart attack by 25%, and the risk of stroke by 50% by stressing. This one might hit home for a lot of us. 44% lose sleep because of stress.
Bingo.
That's it?
Bingo.
You guys ever lost sleep, stayed up at night,
Sleep to think.
thinking
That was
about
last
your
night.
worries? Last night.
I feel like that's
Exactly.
it.
Exactly.
It's mom.
I'm with Brandon, I think that number's low.
Sometimes I get so stressed out, I just go to sleep.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I'm
I think I
with
get
you.
to the point of where I just gotta sleep and forget about it.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
If I get so stressed out, just sleep.
So all of this leads to fatigue, right? Losing sleep, stressing, fatigue, headaches, like Miss Denise said, stomach aches, irritableness, maybe a little. I know I get very irritable when I'm stressed.
Sarah, stop.
And nervousness. Have you guys ever been so stressed and worried about something that you just,
Paranoid.
yeah, kind of
Driver's ed
paranoid?
test.
Yeah.
Cones.
What are some of your experiences, if you want to share, with stress just consuming you and affecting your health?
I was gonna say, like, I can't rest, like, the whole sleep thing, I can't. Even my friends, like, they'll take a nap, if I have nothing to do, I can think there's nothing to do, I'm really tired, I'm gonna take a nap, I'll lay down, the second I lay down, my mind just starts running with everything to do, and I start
So that
shaking, I
really
pick
hits
it up.
home to you.
And then at night, I can't fall asleep because I'm constantly thinking of what I have to do in the morning, so sleep, that is definitely me.
I am like the opposite.
Sounds
Literally,
good.
okay, let's put this story. Literally, my boyfriend was like trying to put money into my account so I could buy these t-shirts for him, and it went to the wrong account number.
Oh, no.
Okay, and this was a lot of money. So like he's calling me like 100 times, and I'm like, I literally, like, he was stressing me out because he was stressing out, but I'm like, the bank has every connection to everything. They're gonna figure it out, you know what I mean? And I'm
Right.
trying to tell him this, and he's like yelling at me, and I'm like, click, hang up. Cause I was like, I cannot take this, okay? Like, just, no. So, yeah, it was just, we ended up getting money in our account, by the way, but it just stresses about everything.
And it accomplished absolutely nothing.
Right.
Wasted time and made you get some gray hairs. Nick?
Back in senior year, like in high school, I was sick for like until the final 2 weeks of class. So I came back like all better right away. And like teacher said that everybody done their final presentation, and I was like the last one left to go. And I was like stressed about it because I just realized that I just forgot. Like I thought I forgot my speech. I had it saved on my flash drive, and I thought I lost it. But I was like searching my backpack just to look for it. I couldn't find it, so I was stressing out like real bad. And then all of a sudden, I dropped my book bag like on the ground, and I picked it up, and then the flash drive fell out the bag. So I was like, ready for nothing.
Yeah, same.
When I get really stressed out, either I'll take a nap or like I'll be like talking to people and I'll just be like zoned out. Like I'll be talking, but like I'll be like, yeah, like I won't have any emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there.
So
There was one time in 8th grade when I was gonna take like this test, and I was so worried about it because it was like the first test I didn't study for, and so I was so panicked that when we were handed the test, I literally just threw up on it.
Oh, jeez.
What?
Like,
Oh.
how can you do that to yourself?
Stress causes stomach aches.
How many of you get test anxiety?
So did you pass the test?
I don't.
I
just get, I used, like, I used to.
So you passed the test though, right?
Not at home.
But,
I have to wait like 10 seconds before I start. It'll get put for me and I'll wait 10 seconds and
Yeah.
breathe and just kind of like, okay, it's just paper. We're still going to heaven. I'm still good.
Oh, that's funny.
Every time I try to study for
still
a test,
going to heaven.
and I can say 5-6 times in a row, I'll take the test and be like, okay, I don't remember a single thing. I just start freaking out, panicking, and I just start thinking about the world. I'm like, I'm in here for taking a test.
See, and when
An
you
hour goes by and I'm still.
when you let the stress consume you, you forget everything.
Yeah.
That you accomplish nothing.
Yep. And I'm still gonna
And
be
you stress out more.
And I'm like, yeah. I'm like,
So another reason, don't stress. Don't worry. Accomplishes nothing, disrupts your productivity, and it damages your health. Follow me so far?
Yeah.
Alright. Third reason we shouldn't worry.
that was-
It's the opposite of trusting God. And it reduces our faith. Did you follow that? Worrying is the opposite of trusting God, which reduces our faith. Picking up on verse 28 through 33. And why do you worry about clothes? See how the flowers of the field grow? They do not labor or spin. Yet I tell you that not even Solomon in all his splendor was dressed like one of these. If that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and tomorrow is thrown into the fire, will he not much more clothe you, you of little faith? So do not worry, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or what shall we wear? For the pagans run after all these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them. But seek first his kingdom. I'm going to stop there before I get that verse. Oh, you of little faith. We can trust him with his creation, with our life. Let's go back to art. All of us has taken an art class at some point in our life, or will. If you create this masterpiece, you absolutely love it, but you don't trust it with anybody else. Only yourself, right? It can be trusted with you, because you're not going to do anything back to it, but you don't trust anybody else with it. Anyone made an art project like that?
It doesn't even have to be an art project.
No.
I'm just me in general, like, I don't know people. I just really don't.
You been there, Nick?
I done it once. Like I created probably the best thing ever done in my life. I just won't let anybody touch it. But I had no choice. I had to let someone at least keep an eye on it while I went out for it. Like I went out for a bit. When I came back, yeah, I mean, it was kind of ruined. Like somebody actually spilled paint over it. But like it wasn't over the whole thing. It was like a quarter of the drawing of paint.
It's the same way with God. We are God's masterpiece that He crafted up, He created. He doesn't want anyone else to handle it, meaning God or Satan. He wants to be the only one holding it. We can trust our lives, His creation, with Him. Make sense? You would follow that? Any thoughts?
I've been like seeing like on my Facebook page about like people like talk about their problems and all that, and that they're always like worrying that they're gonna have a breakdown. But I comment on those posts telling them like to keep your faith up and never lose it, because do not go there unless it'll make everything worse. So just try to stay where you are. Like don't move and don't move anything like in your mind. Just keep very strong faith in everything, and everything will be fine.
How many of us have ever worried or stressed about money or food or clothes, necessities?
Yeah.
All of us?
Yes.
God will always provide if we trust Him with what we need. And that's what He's saying in these verses we just read. That He will provide the necessities if we trust Him. It might not be as much as we want, but it will be as much as we need.
You know, Caleb, I think this is one of those things to where our faith dwindles during these times because we want to take those things back from God and say, we can do this on our own. And it's when we do that, stress consumes us instead of trusting God for even the basics of life.
Someone was going to say something, I'm sorry. No. I've heard several stories over the years about families being down to their last dollar, like literally have $20 left or even less. And they would give it to the church or somewhere where God was telling them to give it. They trusted God to give it because they felt the calling that you need to give this. They easily could be like, God, this is my last $20. They could easily stress out about it, like, how am I supposed to get gas if I don't have this $20? How am I supposed to pay the rent? How am I supposed to do all this stuff? But instead they chose to follow God, to trust God, and give the money where God told them to. In all of those circumstances, all those stories, God's pulling through for them and provided, either by finding money or someone sending a random check in the mail or whatever. That's just, God will always provide if you trust Him and follow Him. Always. So why worry? Why worry?
I have a question though. Is there a point in life where we don't worry, but it becomes taking God for granted?
I think that goes back to concern and worry, difference between those two. Because we should get concerned when the money gets down or whatever.
Right.
But we shouldn't worry about it because it consumes us and it does these other things that we.
I feel like the better term would be care. There's a point where you don't care anymore. Like, oh, hey, he's taking care of it, I really don't care. Like, oh, that'll get done. Like, I feel like that's what I'm trying to say right now.
No, I think we could live our lives so, lackadaisical, so that we don't put forth the effort and we just say, okay, God's got me, it's going to be done. And to me, that's taking God for granted. I don't know if y'all feel the same way. Over the years, and this has been one of my strongest prayers of life, is I don't ever want to take God for granted, because He does provide those things. And so I want to stay mentally and spiritually alert not to do that.
Makes sense. Anyone else have thoughts?
I think that goes back to like your relationship with God is like a human relationship. You don't just take. Your relationship's not gonna last. I mean, everyone's had a friend that's been a moocher, but that relationship doesn't last long. It's not strong because they're just taking advantage of you and you know it. But if it's a give and take relationship and both parts are giving and both parts are taking, then it's a good, strong, solid relationship, and that's how it should be with God. You shouldn't just lean on Him all the time, but you should feel safe being able to lean on Him.
And it goes back to the story that I told several weeks ago. We were talking about faith, from Facing the Giants, where there's that janitor who tells the coach, there's these two different farmers, there's a drought, both are praying for rain, and the one farmer just spends the whole time 24/7 praying for rain, while the other farmer is preparing the field for when the rain comes, but still praying. And that's kind of going off of what you said too. Both farmers had faith that God would provide, but the second farmer was moved to action with it instead of just relying on God to do everything.
And you could lead on to God will provide the path you need to take that will help you towards providing. So it's like if you need money and you don't have a job, God will lead you towards that job and you put that in your path. But if you're like, no, somebody calls you, hey, I have this amazing job, and you say, no, it's all right, God's gonna provide for me. God's just like, that was the path I was leading you on to get that. So
Exactly. God has a plan for everybody.
And going off with what Diana just said too, I mean, we can be out here strapped for cash and we're praying for money. Okay, well, I'm praying that God's going to send me $1 million check in the mail. Okay, we're going to get that. Okay, God, you're going to do that. I'm waiting on you to do that. But at the same time, He has opened the door for a job that has got a tremendous salary for you to take that's going to provide the money that you need. So, and I think sometimes we miss those things.
You guys ever heard the joke about the guy who fell off the boat and he's drowning and he's praying, he's like, God, like, save me. Boat comes up, someone pulls him over. He's like, hey, you need help? He's like, no, God's got me. Another person comes, hey, you need help? No, God's got me. I have faith He'll get me out of this situation. A third guy comes, tries to save the guy. Again, he's like, no, God's got me. So the guy ends up drowning to death, gets to heaven, asks God, why didn't you help me? Why didn't you save me? God said, I sent you 3 people. There's a plan. He sent that plan. You just need to follow it, he said. So we shouldn't worry because it accomplishes nothing. It damages your health, reduces your faith, and lastly, puts our focus in the wrong place. We're going to finish up the scripture, verses 33 and 34. But seek first His kingdom and His righteousness. All these things will be given to you as well. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. That last verse, verse 34, you need to like write on a sticky note, tape it to your mirror in the morning, and read that every day. Whatever you will look at every morning. Most people look in the mirror every morning. That's why I said that. So where should our focus be?
Today, present.
On God in this moment. Not tomorrow. We should live every day to the fullest. And I'm not saying get on the YOLO bandwagon and just go crazy because, hey, you only live once. What I mean by that is we should live every day for God, as if God is coming tomorrow. Like, this is our last chance. We need to live every day with love, with faith, as if God is coming back tomorrow. Make sense? Because we don't know. He very well could be. And if we're worrying about tomorrow, we're wasting today. How many conversations have we passed up about God because we're worrying about tomorrow? What if tomorrow doesn't come?
Back in my past, I've been like talking to a lot of people about this topic, like we were talking about, like worrying about tomorrow. They all, like all my friends, been telling me they have all these plans, all these dreams that are hoping to happen soon, which I constantly have to keep on reminding them that it will come. But then you can focus on that when that day comes. But for now, focus on now. Just focus on what you need to do to get things done. Apparently, some, like what I said to them worked on them some, but the others just don't believe it. They just said like I have to focus on that because that's the only thing that's ever gonna like bring a smile on my face. But then like I'm stuck in this routine that it's just not working, and I have to focus on that thing.
Did you have something, bro?
I was gonna say today at church it's kind of funny you mentioned about we don't live tomorrow. We never know. The thing they talked about is if we had 3 months to live, would you change yourself from where you are now, knowing that, or would you keep it the same? And honestly, you'd probably change your habits, but you really, what really hit me is would you regret anything you did like in the past? Because you can take stuff back. And you want to live, that horrible day you're having complaining, and all of a sudden, next day, you die. You see what I'm saying? Like, do you want to live, and you want people to think of you that way? So it kind of struck home.
And what about like the things that make us think about tomorrow, like a little thing like homework? Like I take this time to do, you know what I mean? Those things
Well, I mean, we should still do those things.
Well,
we
yeah.
shouldn't just
Obviously,
count
I'm
on
not
God
saying
coming
I'm
back
here
tomorrow.
homework,
Veronica said,
I'm just saying like there's those.
No, I know what you're saying. There's just an opportunity for you.
I think the deal is when we focus on that, when that becomes the priority,
Right.
is where the problem is versus the daily faith.
Right. Because worrying puts our focus on that rather than daily faith, like you said. And kind of to reiterate, we should live every day. We should, with the love, by loving and sharing the gospel, as if it's the last day of our life. That Jesus is coming back tomorrow. That we don't have a second chance to talk to this person.
Yeah, like I heard some similar things like that what you just said about live every day like it's your last. Like try to make it fun for yourself. Like I mean go through things that you dreamed of but you never really did. Just go live out your dreams.
Not exaggeration, like, you never know, it's like, well, I don't stay mad at people. It's my reason.
I could put together a whole sermon for that. That's a good one. So don't let your worries about tomorrow affect your relationship with God today. Did you follow that? Keep your focus on God, not worrying about tomorrow. So the 4 reasons, to summarize, why we shouldn't worry. It accomplishes nothing. It's a waste of time. It damages our health. It's the opposite of trusting God, reducing our faith. And it puts our focus in the wrong place instead of on God where it should be. So instead of worrying, what should we do? I have 3 verses I'll read out. 1 Peter 5:7. Give all your worries and cares to God, for he cares about you. Philippians 4:6, the first part of that verse. Don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. And Matthew 11:28. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. That's what we should do. Come to God. Now I'm going to make a statement that you guys can disagree with if you want. But I will hold on to it. And I believe that stress and worrying is a choice. Again, you can disagree if you want. But I believe, based on those 3 verses, and several more in the Bible, that is a choice. And the choice is this simple. To either let yourself get consumed by it and worry about it, or to give it to God. To truly submit to him and let him take care of it. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I totally agree with you that, like, the stress and worrying, like it's a choice. But when I was, like, talking to some people about stress and worrying, like, they told me that stress and worry is, like, it's just it's human, like it's human emotion, like to do that.
That's the thing, they let their earthly overtake their spiritual.
I think it is a bad habit that can be broken. I think that it's something that we can almost train ourselves in. I don't want to say it like that, but it's really like when we start worrying, it's gonna be hard for us, like right off the bat, to not even just pick up. I'm carefree now. Like we're always gonna have that worry, but it just
Right.
takes us constant. Okay, wait, I'm worrying, pray, and then years from now, over time, that just becomes a part of us, and we then quit worrying.
We go worry about something today, and then 10 years from now, look back and wonder why in the world you ever worried about that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think Anna's hit kind of a good thought here, and it becomes a habit. Because if we have the habit now, at this age, if it's not changed or altered by the time you get to be dinosaurs like me, okay, then you're going to have a lifestyle of stress and worry. It's what it's going to be.
Do you have something, Irma?
No, but I agree with what she
Okay.
said.
Anything else?
And this was before cell phones, and he'd get home late, I'd be going, okay, where is he? And I'd just walk the floor, and I'd be crying, where is he? He's in a ditch somewhere, just going on and on and on, when I could have been washing, cleaning, fixing supper for him when he got home. Well, that worry was for nothing, because there's always traffic, there's always construction, because he would travel everywhere. And so, I can definitely speak from experience, worry will get you nowhere. You do have to trust God, and all that time you're wasting, you could be doing something good.
Absolutely.
Just
Yeah.
know that he has your life and everything in control.
Absolutely.
But my parents told me I was born with being like a worry wart. Like I worry about everything. Is it a genetics thing, do you think? Are you born like
I don't
worried?
think so. No.
Or you just think it's just a natural instinct?
I think it's a temptation.
Uh-huh.
It's a choice. It comes back to the choice.
It's a temptation that Satan uses to keep you away from focusing on God.
Yeah, exactly.
I was listening to some Hillsong Church this morning on our way to our games, and they were talking about like how the devil tests you, but then as well as God tests you to make sure that your faith is strong for him. And if you did not have faith, then you would not be tested. So all the stress that comes with it is that God is just testing you to make sure that your faith is really strong.
Well, like this almost feels similar back to my church back in my hometown. That we had like a sermon about worrying. Pastor said, that in your lives there are going to be a lot of stuff that is going to come in your life. You have choices to make about it. Like okay, like say for example, like if you're an adult and then I work out this huge pile of papers like to fulfill by tomorrow. Are you gonna A, worry about it, or B, keep God deeply strong in your faith and just do it and not worry and that you have strong faith in yourself and God that it will get done in time.
I've been taught that you don't just pray, but you praise and you declare that whatever you're praying about is settled, even if it hasn't happened like right then, you know, it's not happening, so you pray anyway.
Absolutely. It's a whole lot easier to stand up here and say that we should choose not to worry. It's a whole lot easier to be sitting in here right now and be like, yeah, I'm not going to worry anymore. But realistically, that's something that we'll always be tempted to do. It's a choice, one of the toughest choices we'll deal with daily. Multiple times a day, worrying about something. But the stronger your relationship gets with Christ, the less you will worry. The less tempted you will be to worry. And so I encourage you guys, when you start worrying about something, whatever it may be, how little or how big, catch it in its track, notice it, step away from it, and pray. Give it all to God. Ask Him to just take it away from you, help you out. And Scripture promises that He will give you rest if you trust Him with it. Anything else before we close in prayer? Yeah.
All my life, people because they always see me worry at times, and then people always tell me that life's too short to worry about anything because you have your whole life to live, full of great things that are going to happen to you, as you grow up and mature. So just try to be thankful for everything that's happened to you so far, and just keep on that track of those happy things, and don't worry about it.
Anybody else? Pray for each other too. And those that aren't here. Because it's something we're all struggling with, especially these last 2 weeks and then finals week. The stress and the worry will really heat up. If you would, please pray with me.